You're listening to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands, with Sudeep Chawla and Sharavana Raghavan.
So CoBB has been up and running for a few episodes now.
So I hear.
And I think it is now time for the listeners to get to know the person behind this booming voice. So it is my turn to ask you questions so that the listeners can get to know you well. Are you ready for it?
Sounds threatening, but yeah, I don't have a choice. Let's go.
Yeah, don't be so intimidated. So okay, Sharan. So your introduction at the start of the episode says Sharavana Raghavan from Vitral Innovations. To tell us a little bit more about Vitral.
Vitral is a brand consultancy. We work with consumer-facing businesses. And when I say we, it's me and my partner, Rishi. So we work with consumer-facing businesses and help them look at brand building or creating a brand as a growth lever instead of looking at it as an expense. And we help them define brand growth or business growth with the help of brand building. And that's what we do.
Just a little bit on it, do you partner them in execution of the ideas that you suggest to them?
Yes. So what we do can be broken up into 3 stages. One is called the diagnosis stage. So if it's an ongoing business, we get in, we look at what's going on, what's going well, what's not going well. If it's a new business also, we look at a lot of research data that they most of the times carry, or even carry out a lot of qualitative research to understand the context of the operation. So then we have our development phase where we put together the brand tenets, your SDPs, your segmentation, targeting, positioning, articulating that and putting it together in a bit of a framework. Is something we call the brand cornerstones, basically the fundamentals of the brand. And then comes deployment, where we onboard agencies, brief them, set up campaign objectives, marketing objectives, and track to what they're going on for. So yeah, there are 3 stages. There's diagnosis, development, and deployment. The 3 Ds are completely covered.
Excellent, brilliant. Okay, very clear. Okay, so Sharan, a little bit on the personal side then. Tell us your backstory. Where are you from? Where have you studied, etc.?
Well, I am from the small town called Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
And that's where I grew up largely. Even if I claim to have studied anywhere, I'm sure my teachers will be pretty upset because I did not. So, I went to school in Coimbatore in the Nilgiris, and I moved to Chennai after schooling, and I moved there primarily to become a chef.
Oh.
And I got into IHM in Chennai. I trained there. Then I worked at Park Sheraton in Chennai. And then I realized the love I have for cooking has got nothing to do with surviving as a chef in the industrial kitchen. I was a complete disillusionment at 19 years old. So I said, I'm not going to be a chef. I got thrown out of Park Sheraton and then had no idea what I wanted to do in life. And then my dad got me into an economics course for the heck of it. And then discovered my rather passion for things in business, and then got into MBA. I started out with Henkel, then came to Cadbury. I was there for about 8 years, I think. Then went to work with Reckitt Benckiser. I was there in the UK office, leading innovation in toilet care for the global market. And then came back to India, worked with Godrej Consumer Products for a little over a year, leading innovation for the international business. Yeah, so that's pretty much been my story so far.
Okay, so that's been a fairly interesting and an expansive one. You worked across a lot of organizations. Yeah, how was that experience? I've only worked across 2. But you worked across organizations and geographies.
Yes.
Yeah. How has that experience been?
I wouldn't trade it for anything else. I think it's offered me a lot of exposure in the sense the different markets, the different mindsets, and not just of consumers, even mindsets of people working across cultures. So when you were at Cadbury, or when we were at Cadbury or Henkel, we always looked at the global or the regional body in a certain lens. And then suddenly I was the evil man sitting in the global headquarters telling the regions what to do without never ever having set foot in their market. So to understand the balances of those conversations, and then to understand how the same brand or the same category can play across different geographies very differently. So in fact, in Reckitt, the product I was working on was a toilet cleaner.
Yeah.
And the toilet cleaner goes by about 5 or 6 different brand names in different markets. So it's Harpic in India, it's Silit Bang in Eastern Europe and Russia, it's called Sagrotan in Germany, it goes under Lysol in the US. So, and each of these brands have their own dynamics, and you got to find a way to fit the product narrative into this brand narrative. And that was pretty fascinating. And and same with Godrej Consumer as well, where it was largely focused on the developing markets. And just exploring these cultures, understanding what they're about, what drives them. All of them have been fascinating experiences. And I think looking back and connecting the dots as a consultant that I exist today is because of these varied exposures that I've had.
Nice. So therefore we can metaphorically and literally say all that experience wasn't down the drain.
Well, we're talking about drain. There were days in my stint at Reckitt. So my wife makes fun of me for this, that I've spent days washing different kinds of toilets. So each toilet cleans differently, and each kind of toilet in the world, it varies by region. So how it cleans an Indian toilet is very different from how it cleans a European, and it's also very different from how it cleans an American toilet.
Wow.
So I know the ins and outs, quite literally, of how these toilets work.
Oh, nice. So therefore, before Modi ji, you were the mascot for Swachh Bharat.
Oh, incidentally, that's one of the biggest projects I worked on with Swachh Bharat. With Harpic looking to partner with the Swachh Bharat program in India was something that we worked extensively on, and that itself was a very fascinating experience. I'm sure we can spend an entire episode just talking about that project. But yeah, those were pretty fascinating experiences.
Oh, lovely. Oh, I didn't know about this one actually. Coming back, why CoBB? What are you wanting to achieve with it?
The reason we're doing CoBB is, for me, very close to why Vitral exists. And I hold this belief that in India, we largely process-centric and business-oriented. However, we have not necessarily prioritized the need for brand building. There are very, very few Indian brands that have come up in businesses today. You're working with one of them. And there is potential for our businesses that are so focused on efficiency to very easily build brands out of themselves. And the whole idea of building brand is that it accelerates growth. And I believe by doing this podcast, we can reach out to a wider audience of brand owners and business owners to basically build long-term sustainable brands.
Nice. I think I would agree to all of it. I'm a converted one at that front as well. But yeah, lovely. It seems like the right thing to do and at the right time in India.
Oh yeah, I think this is the right time. I think it's sounding very promising right now in India.
Oh yes. Okay. So we've heard about your experience. We've heard about what you do currently, why you are doing CoBB. So now let me ask you one more question before I let you go. What else do you do apart from fleecing business owners out of their hard-earned money? What are your passion areas, hobbies, etc.?
Well, fleecing business owners is a full-time job, my friend. But what do I do other than Vitral in consulting is I read. I like reading a lot, and I love watching movies. And I had a bit of an artistic mind. I put it in past tense because I used to do theater. And I think it's going to be my 10-year anniversary very soon from when I stopped doing theater.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, and I have pursued a few other interests, like diving, scuba diving. I'm certified twice over. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I do. And that keeps me occupied. My books, leave me with my books and coffee, and I wouldn't disturb a soul in my life for a long time.
Oh, nice. Sounds like a nice pastime for a Sunday afternoon. Excellent. So that's been a greatly rewarding as well as fun session to record with you. Thank you very much for being so open and transparent, Sharan. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Sudeep.
Thank you for listening to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands with Sudeep Chawla and Sharavana Raghavan. Subscribe and learn more at cobcast.net. That's CoBBCAST.net.